It all started when I took a job as a night cleaner at an old office building just outside the city, a place that had been empty for years before a small security company moved in and started renovating. And I was just there to mop floors, empty bins, and keep things in order between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. Easy money, no people, just quiet work. And for the first week, it was just that. Quiet, boring, peaceful even, with me putting in my earbuds, listening to music, and zoning out while pushing the mop from one side of the floor to the other. But by the second week, I started noticing strange things, like chairs pulled away from desks that I hadn't touched, coffee mugs full of cold liquid even though I was the only person in the building, and once I found the elevator doors stuck slightly open, even though they shouldn't have worked at all. The power to the lower levels had been cut off during renovations, or so I'd been told. And when I mentioned it to my supervisor, he laughed and told me it was just my imagination, that the place was old and full of quirks, that sometimes the building made noises or lights flickered because of bad wiring. But I knew something was off, because one night while cleaning the second floor, I heard typing, very fast, very rhythmic, coming from a room with no lights on and no power. And when I peeked in, the computer screen was black, but the keyboard was still clicking like someone invisible was typing furiously. And as soon as I stepped into the room, it stopped, dead silent. And when I turned on my flashlight, I was alone, totally alone. But there were fresh fingerprints on the desk, greasy smears, and the chair was spinning very slowly like someone had just stood up and left in a hurry. And that night, I went home shaking, telling myself it must have been something explainable, that maybe I was just tired or the building had some weird energy. But I couldn't sleep, and from then on, I started noticing more, like objects moving just slightly when I wasn't looking. Strange cold spots in hallways, and worst of all, whispers. Not voices exactly, but breathy, unintelligible murmurs, like someone standing just behind me muttering to themselves. And I'd turn around, and of course, no one was there. Until one night I was cleaning the top floor, the only one with the lights fully restored. And I passed by a mirror in the hallway, and for a split second I saw something behind me in the reflection, tall and thin, with no face, just a smooth stretch of pale skin where eyes and a mouth should be. And I turned around instantly, and there was nothing there, just empty hallway. But when I looked back at the mirror, it was cracked right where its face had been, a perfect spiderweb fracture. And that's when I stopped using my earbuds, stopped listening to music while I worked, because I needed to hear everything, needed to stay aware, and things got worse. One night I found every door on the third floor open, every single one, even ones I had just closed 5 minutes earlier. And when I turned to head back to the stairs, the lights went out for a full 30 seconds, and in that pitch black I could hear breathing. Not mine, something else, wet and heavy. And I swear I felt something brush past my arm. And when the lights flicked back on, all the doors were closed again, and I had to sit down just to breathe. But I didn't quit, because I needed the money, and I told myself again and again that it was just nerves, just shadows, just an old building doing weird things. But one night I made a mistake. I went down to the basement, even though I'd been told not to, even though the lights didn't work and the air was thick like a tomb. I went down there because I thought I heard crying. A low, distant sound like a man sobbing through his hands, and I couldn't ignore it, couldn't let it go. So I took my flashlight and went down the concrete steps, and the moment I reached the bottom, my flashlight flickered and died, and I was surrounded by black so complete it felt like it had weight, like I was underwater, and the crying stopped, replaced by slow, dragging footsteps that circled me in the dark. And I froze, afraid to breathe, afraid to move, and I don't know how long I stood there. Minutes, maybe more, until I remembered the emergency light on the wall and slowly inched toward where I thought it was. And when I found it, I slammed my fist against the button and it lit up red, just enough to show me the narrow hallway leading deeper into the basement. And at the far end of that hallway was the figure again, the same one from the mirror, impossibly tall, head tilted slightly, no face, arms too long, fingertips almost touching the ground, just standing there watching me, even though it had no eyes. And I ran. I didn't look back, didn't try to make sense of it. I just ran, up the stairs, out of the building, into the parking lot, and I didn't stop until I got to my car. And when I looked back, the building was dark and still, just a shadow against the sky. And I called my supervisor and quit on the spot. Didn't even pick up my last paycheck, just told him I wasn't going back in there, and he didn't even argue. He just said, okay, almost like he'd been expecting it. And I wonder now how many other people quit before me. How many left without telling the full story, because now, even weeks later, I still hear the breathing sometimes, in the quiet parts of the night. And sometimes I wake up and my bedroom door's open when I know I closed it, and I check the mirrors every morning now. Not to see myself, but to make sure nothing else is there. And I don't know what I saw in that building, if it was a ghost, or something worse, or something that never was human in the first place. Something left behind by time, something that mimics us to draw us in. But I survived, and I got out, and that's more than a lot of people can say, so I tell myself, that's enough. That as long as I stay away, as long as I don't talk about it too much or think about it too hard, maybe it'll forget me. Maybe it just wanted to be seen. Or maybe it feeds off fear, and I try not to give it any more, but sometimes, late at night, I think I see something in the corner of my room, just a tall shadow standing very still. And I blink, and it's gone. But I can't shake the feeling that it's not finished with me. Not yet.